Hello and welcome to Malt, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and this is Whiskey Review number 87. As you can see, I'm also still banished to the upstairs portion of the house. What I have for you today is something quite interesting. I know I say that quite a lot, but this really is quite interesting. And that's because it comes in the form of this. Alright. If I push this out, put that back on there, get the bottle out of the box, discard said box. This is what I'll be reviewing today. Swedish single malt whiskey from the Mackmyra distillery. And this is a new release called Grönt Te. I really hope I pronounced that right. Doubt it. But have a look at that bottle, right? Mackmyra do some really quite pretty bottles, right? It sounds stupid, but they do. And the touch there is lovely. Just that little bit there. Alright? So this is Swedish single malt whiskey. And Grönt Te, again, probably saying it wrong, I'm so sorry. As you may be able to deduce, is Swedish for green tea. Yeah, green tea. So, this is a whiskey, a Swedish single malt whiskey, that amongst a myriad of cask makeup that I will go into in a little bit more detail in a minute, has been finished in casks seasoned with Japanese green tea liqueur. Just to be clear, if this was Scotland, right, chances are probably wouldn't have been able to do that because the SWA are quite stringent really about certain things. I mean, you only need to look at Compass Box, where they didn't approve of them putting staves into the original vatting barrels of Spice Tree. So Compass Box got around that little niggle by making the cask heads out of the wood that was used in the staves originally. Kudos Compass Box. Now, this is a release that you may not have seen in the shops, and that's because it is a brand new release. Full disclosure before we get kicking, which is what I do for every review where I've been provided with the whiskey. Firstly, thank you to Mackmyra for the sample, I do appreciate it. However, just because a sample has been provided to me does not mean that the whiskey will get a positive review. Said it, done it. And to be fair, you only need to look at previous reviews such as the Aberfeldy review that I did recently to kind of highlight that is not the case. I do accept samples, I do, because my purse string is only stretched so far, and also otherwise I wouldn't have found that in a million years. I would have done maybe a couple of months down the line after it's been released and you saw a bit in the Twitter sphere and whatnot, but otherwise I wouldn't have come across it. So happy days, and that is what I'm here for you guys, to some extent. I mean, really, I just talk at you and drink, let's face it. So, in the glass, it's not tea coloured, is it? Let's face it, it's not tea coloured. You wouldn't expect it to be tea coloured, to be fair, would you? Let's give it a bit of a swirl there. Nice sort of like standard whiskey gold, I guess you could probably describe it as. Now, if I go back to the bottle. So this release has been bottled at 46.1%. It is non-chill filtered and has no added colouring. It is non-chill filtered with no added colouring. So Mackmyra do tend to do that. The exception being their Mac release, which has both of those things, but that is kind of like their bog standard entry level release. 46.1% is a percentage that they tend to bottle the majority of their whiskies at. Which is quite cool, nice bit of consistency and a good strength. I've got to say, I do love 46%. As I've seen people reference to online before, 43% is arguably the new 40. Make of that what you will, so I do like the fact it's 46.1. And again, I love that little touch there. I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool. So, this whiskey was inspired by, I'm going to take it down again because I want to pronounce the name right again. I'm so sorry if I don't. I do try, I really do. I can't read the signature. So this whiskey has been put together in inspiration really by the master blender of Mackmyra, Angela D'Orazio. Okay, so I'm reading that out in the semi-Italian way, I think, with the Z, the I and the O, D'Orazio, sorry. So I do apologise, Angela, if I absolutely mauled your surname. As you can probably tell from previous reviews, if you've seen them, guys, I can barely speak English, you know what I mean? So, what I'm going to go through now, why I've got my phone here, you will understand why. So, you can see here, hopefully, this is on the press release for the aromatic profile, right? So that, the white balance on my camera is just absolutely shot itself. That is basically the cask makeup, or what I'm taking to be the cask makeup of this whiskey, alright? So there it is. And lights. There we go. We're back. Sort of. A little bit dark again. It will get brighter. So, to those of you with high definition screens, apologies. They are wasted on me. So, Mackmyra Grönt Te is a Swedish single malt whisky that's been finished in a newly saturated ex Oloroso casks. In a newly saturated ex Oloroso. Right, okay, let's take the A out. Newly saturated ex Oloroso casks. A blend of Oloroso wine and the finest vintage Japanese green tea leaves have seasoned the casks. So, there you go, that's how they made that liqueur, I guess. Providing a subtly spicy and flavourful whiskey, yada yada, I don't read that bit because I don't want it to influence my thoughts. Now, it does then list the Japanese vintage teas. I'll be honest, I'm a coffee drinker, I do not drink tea. The only tea that I do drink is Costco's own matcha green tea, just when I'm trying not to have like my 6th cup of the day because I get a little bit wired. So this might mean more to you than me. Our Japanese vintage teas are no, not going to bother. No, not going down that road. Not going to pronounce 7 names incorrectly. There's a lot of tea on there. I'll list them in the comments section. So I believe this will retail, once it's fully released, I believe this will retail around 50 to 55 quid. But again, I will clarify that in the comments section. On the nose, I'm not going to add water, it's 46.1%, that's perfect for me. Now, one thing that I just want to make clear, right, about Mackmyra, Swedish whiskey, world whiskey, whether it be Australian, Indian, you know, New Zealand, American, English, Welsh, French, etc., Swiss, you name it, the vast majority are not trying to be Scotch. And I think for me, Mackmyra are one of the sort of like leaders in that approach. Like, genuinely, I mean, I've had bottles of Brooks whiskey before, and I was actually part of the Mackmyra tweet tasting as well recently. We sampled quite a few different releases, and I've also got a bottle of Mackmyra Svensk Rock that I do also need to review at some point, which is a peated release made with, in part, with smoked juniper leaves and branches, which is a pretty cool approach. Kind of reiterates really, they're not trying to be Scotch. No release that I've had from Mackmyra makes me think, oh, do you know what, that's trying to be like bourbon matured Balblair or something. There's very little crossover with Scotch flavours for me. It really is a very unique spirit. And I've had the new make, and it's completely different to a lot of Scottish whiskey new make. Scottish new make that I've tried in the past, both at distilleries and via sample bottles. So on the nose, going back to the nose, very creamy, sage. There's also some sort of cinnamon, appley cinnamon thing going on. Think McDonald's hot apple pie. Not the best apple pie in the world, but McDonald's hot apple pie. Probably not what they were after when Angela put this together, so I do apologise, Angela, but McDonald's hot apple pie, it's a nice apple pie if you're in a bit of a tight situation. And now that's all I can smell. Fantastic. Right. Now I'm thinking about McDonald's. Brilliant. Right. This kind of mossy, almost backwash back note there. And do you know what? I'm not making this up, right? There is a stewed tea kind of thing going on there in the background. There's a little bit of tannic bitterness, some sort of like wet vegetal kind of note, which you could put down to tea. And the more I go back to it, my wife drinks a lot of tea. She's a tea drinker, I'm a coffee drinker. And that does, in fairness, smell like some of the pots that I empty into our compost bin full of tea leaves. It really does. It does. There is that in there. I'm not going to say it's overpowering and it just smells like green tea, because it doesn't. There's a tea-esque note in there. Again, vegetal, quite soft, sort of like damp leaf kind of thing going on. But it does have that sort of like tannic, a little bit of like twinge of bitterness about it, which does associate with tea leaves. You know, it's there. They made a tea liqueur with Oloroso and stuck it in a cask and seasoned it. I mean, it's going to impart something. Interesting. And it is interesting. I think Mackmyra in general is interesting. Mackmyra, I'm probably getting that wrong as well. I mean, I don't meet too many Swedes in my line of work. So I mean, please, if you are Swedish or if you just know more than me in general, please do correct me. I mean, quite a few of you probably know more than me in general. I never claim to be an expert. I never will. I'm a novice in everything that I do. Not just whiskey, just day-to-day life. Absolute casual, filthy casual. Again, overarching for me there, initially vanilla, apple, cinnamon, and that kind of tannic vegetal note. On the palate, that's one of the cats trying to come in. That's going to get really annoying if you can hear that clicking sound. I do apologise. Oh my god, just get through the door. Seriously. There we go. Right. Apple, green apple up front. Again, fizzy apple laces. Behave. Cinnamon again, yeah. Vanilla again, yeah. Citrus this time. Like tangerine or clementine maybe, a little bit softer, sweeter citrus. Ginger. I'm getting sort of buttery shortbread as well. Am I getting tea? Maybe a little bit. I'm not actively looking for it, if I'm honest. I think the thing is, it's like, I think you've got to be careful when you impart too much flavour in whiskey, because you don't want to be going down the road that like vodka and some rums go down, where it's like, you know, like salted caramel McMuffin / M&M flavour, and it's like, Jesus Christ, what fresh hell is this? Whiskey takes a little bit more crafting, shall we say. I mean, it's been sat in a cask for years. You don't want to then ruin it by imparting something overpowering. I mean, that's why, I mean, we looked at the Long Row Red in the last review, and that was very well balanced. It went well together. So, and I mentioned, I think, in that review, that some red wine finishes and cask maturations don't work because they just overpower it and just knacker the entire thing. This is actually very, very well balanced, and it's very interesting. It's quite, realistically, it's quite a novel thing that they've done. And going back to the kind of the inspiration behind that, basically the master distiller Angela is a big fan of Japan. She goes over to Japan, drinks a lot of green tea, and decided, do you know what? I impart my personality and my experiences in this whiskey. Why not that? And kudos, it's very forward thinking, very creative. And they do things quite quite creatively as well. I mean, Mackmyra, again, you know, it's what it is. Mature a lot of their whiskey in caves, and I think it was an old mine or something like that. It's just can you imagine that in Scotland? I mean, you've got the Teletubby distillery at Macallan, the new one, but obviously they don't, you know, that's not where they mature the whiskey, that's where it's produced, but, you know, and they've also got a forest warehouse as well. They use gravity stills, I think, as part of the process. It's a very eco-friendly distillery. So it's just really, really good, particularly in this day and age. I think more distilleries could be doing do things a little bit more the Mackmyra way, should we say. Keep our planet green and all that. Speaking of green tea, back on it. One thing that I didn't touch on before, because Luna was trying to get back in the house. Again, really sorry. It's only temporary. Not the cat being up here. Again, really, really, really nice mouthfeel. Very thick, oily, quite luscious. Coats the mouth. Getting golden syrup as well now. Almost like an olive oil kind of thing going on. Quite savoury. And then do you know what? Heading into the finish, it is again becoming a little bit tannic, a little bit bitter. Still quite sweet. Do I taste green tea? I didn't until I just said the word tea and it pushed air over my tongue again. And do you know what? Yeah, maybe a little bit in fairness. I said before that I drink the Costco green tea matcha tea bag sometimes. And do you know what? Yeah, maybe a bit of matcha tea in there, possibly. I'm not going to say it's an overarching flavour, I'm not going to say it's dominating. I think overall it's just a very well crafted, well presented whiskey. You won't get away with it in Scotland. Again, because the SWA would not be happy at all. But it's innovative. It's well crafted, it's well presented. And you know, they've carved out their own niche, their own space. Mackmyra's got some proper hardcore fans. I know one in particular that used to come to Whisky Club in Manchester when I ran it. That you know, I see him on Instagram sometimes. He's always like posting his latest Mackmyra single cask release, or you know, his latest Mackmyra general release. And I'm like, God, that guy really loves Swedish whiskey. Do you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, the majority of my collection, probably like yours, is made up of Scotch and bourbon. I have a couple of Irish, a couple of English, Swedish, not so much, but you know, obviously now I've got this in, and it has given me a nice sort of grounding as to this latest release. It's very pleasant. It's very pleasant, and do you know what? I actually do quite like it. I do really like it. Again, very different. Not particularly straightforward. It is in the sense that I don't think it's a whiskey that is going to blow you away. I don't think it's you know, I don't think it is, if you're looking for particularly in-your-face flavours, I don't think it's one of those, right? It's not a sherry bomb, it's not a pea bomb, we know that, you know, it's not first fill bourbon, full maturation or anything like that. It's been quite selective and they've done their own thing with the green tea. It's quite subtle. It's well crafted, it's well put together, it's well presented. I'm quite a fan, I do like it. And you know what, kudos to Mackmyra and Angela in particular for putting this together and doing things differently and doing the way that you do things. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you believe in what you do, crack on and do it. On to the scores. So, I mean, as I said at the start of the review, just because I've been provided with that whiskey doesn't mean I'm going to give it a favourable or positive review, and I do stick to that. However, I'm going to give this whiskey a relatively high score in my book. You know, I mean, it's well presented, a decent strength, it's non-chill filtered, it's no added colour, which we like, again the Holy Trinity, decent strength, know how to call in non-chill filters. It's quite unique. It's something new. It's not something that you'll see too often. And it's quirky. I think it's probably the word to use. It's quirky. It's a quirky whiskey. I mean, again, it's really cute, you know? It's really cute. So, on that note, anyway, back to basics. I'm going to give this whiskey a 7 out of 10. Kudos to the guys at Mackmyra. Thanks for watching. Again, if you'd like to click that subscribe button, I would appreciate it. That is kind of why I keep coming back and doing these things and annoying you. Follow me on Twitter at Maltbox or on Instagram now at Maltbox Whisky. Thanks for watching. See you soon.